Hey guys, hey guys, how you doing? How's your day going? And if you're just starting, how's your night? Hope you had an amazing and a beautiful night rest. For those of you who don't know this yet, my name is Praise, and you're currently tuned into my channel. So we are continuing with our Python series, and today we are going to be going into the object-oriented aspect. Um, oh, oh, hmm, object-oriented programming. Okay, we're going to the object-oriented aspect of Python. Now, I don't know exactly how I'm going to like start breaking down OP in this video because I don't want it to be so long, but maybe I'll upload a new video where I cover like a basic intro to everything object oriented. Now, if you have been programming, I'm sure you may be familiar with some other object oriented type programming languages. um if you it's like they're like one of the most popular. I don't know what they're, but their classes of there's a particular class, another class you have OPs, and you have languages that fall under that category. An example, you have Java, you have Python, you have um I think PHP falls. I'm not really familiar with that, but I'm very sure of Java and Python. So the next big question is, what is object-oriented programming? Is a type of programming that is based on objects, um like groups, classifications, stuff like that. And one of the most popular characteristics of object-oriented type programming is the classes, inheritance, and that is what we're going to be focusing on in this video. So let's just create a new file. Let's just call it file.py. Oh gosh, I've been having a serious cough for some days now. Now, in this file, we're going to create a class. Now, I don't know if this is really compulsory, but throughout my whole years of programming with Python, I've always been known that when you're declaring the class, the first letter should be a capital letter. So I don't know if it's compulsory, so don't quote me on that. But it's how I've always seen it being done, and it's how I've always been doing it while whenever I'm coding. So we're going to create a class called car. Oh wow. I think it's getting worse. We're going to create a class called car. Now the class is not taking any arguments, but there's this stuff that is called Init. It's very popular stuff in Python. You don't only use it when declaring classes. It's defining it. That's like one of the thing I know I don't know how to describe. But it's supposed to be like huh, you use it whenever you're creating an object. I don't know how to define it honestly. Maybe you can just go on your own and just read on about it. But what we're going to do, we're going to define a function that the name of the function is Init. Now, if you go back to when I was one of my videos when I covered Django, you see that whenever you're creating a new app, you'd always have a file that is underscore init underscore dot py. So it's almost like the same thing. So we're going to define a function, and the function is going to take the double underscore init at its name. Now this stuff that is here is used when you want, because you know it's a class. A class is a collection of of related objects, and we want it that when we're accessing a class, let's say for example now car, and we're accessing a car of the first, like a first car, we want that when we're calling the want like an individual print, maybe printing the brand of the car in question, we want that it only picks out the information about that specific car. So that is kind of like the main use of this self. But it mustn't exactly, you can literally, I can decide to put whatever I want there. But it's just one of those things that is just like ideal, is like what is most common amongst all programmers. So we usually use self. Self is you, it can be anything you want as long as it's the first argument that is passed into the um function you're declaring. So for the car, we want to have the we want to have the brand of the car, and we want to have the color of the car. Okay. Then we'll just assign the self, so we'll know what we're calling when we pass like a setting, when we're calling each stuff individually. So self dot brand can be accessed using the brand variable. Okay, now we can save this. Next thing, let's say if you want to add, so right now we're not exactly saving this into maybe like a table or something. So it may be like, wow, not are we doing this? But once you start working with files and saving all this info into files, you're going to see it. For example, if we say, let's say we're creating uh, an attendance or like a collection or a list of all the students in a class, and would need to take the information of the students, this is how we do it. But instead of just having it and storing it in the memory, we are going to save it into a file so that these teachers can access it. Well, we're not jumping ahead of ourselves. Let's say we want to call the first car. So we'll call the name of the class, and we'll just throw an imputing like the details. So ignore that self. That self has nothing to do with us anymore. So the first thing we want to call the brand of the car. So what car brand? BMW. We want to call the color of the car. I'm using in this inverted comma because we're working with strings. Always remember that. Let's just say green. That's an ugly color. Now, how do we access the files here? So if, let's say for example, we're just to go ahead and print, what is wrong with my system suggestion? Let's say we're just to go ahead and print the car. Now we haven't really assigned the string function, so it's not exactly going to give us, it's not going to give us like kind of like the location. I think let's run it and see what's happening. Oh shit, I recreated the file again, sorry. um so you can see underscore underscore main dot car object art. So it's kind of like to be honest, I'm not going to lie, I don't really understand what this is, but let's just run. There's a very large possibility that I'm wrong, but I think what it's saying is that this thing is an object in this class here, car. And I guess this was because this is usually how locations appear, but you know what, I don't know. So another way you can go about printing it is to print each of the calls, because you know we said how we'll call it here. You can remember here we'll self. So self, this is the self here. This C1 is the self dot brand, and we want to print self dot color. So you can see it's printed it. But seems like a bit bulky and unnecessarily and unnecessary. So this one we're going to introduce the string function. It's also declared bleed. But what do you call this? Does this double underscore? I can't. But I would look for it. It has a names like all these functions, all these words in Python that have double underscores before and after the name. There's a name for it. I can't remember. I'll look for it now. Put it here. But another way to go about it is to define another function using the double underscore string, and we're just going to pass into the self. So now once we are declaring any other thing, because like this one is just basic work, but if let's say we're working on a complex function now and want to do more things, like for example I said we want to save it, there are, when we're working with files, we want that when the input is given, we want to be able to access the input and push it into the table. So we don't need to start passing brand and color anymore. We just need to pass self, and we can have it that it returns. Let's use a formatted string. So in the string we're going to pass let's say the the brand is, I want to pass the self dot brand, and the color is, now we can print using just the name of the self, that is the name of the individual one wants access right now. So now it should print the string which we return. Here it is. The brand is BMW and the color is green. Okay. What else do we need to work with here? Okay, we're not really going to be implementing anything here. Yeah, I just want to work on the basic introduction. So we can let's go into inheritance. Now I'm sure we're all familiar with what that name inheritance means. So let's just look into it now, shall we? Alright, so basically inheritance is the ability of a child to um how do I explain, to like kind of like take features from its parents, kind of like the way you inherit your genes from your parents. So here we would have, in this case, car is the parent. So let me just, I think Visual Studio will call, yes. So you can see the way this class that Visual Studio brought up, this is basically the structure. So the first thing is the class name. Let's give this class name truck. The next thing is the object. So this is where we want to inherit from. We want to inherit from car. Then we have our def underscore init self dot args. This args, I'm going to cover it args and quarks. I'll cover it. But for now, all we want to do is just pass the self features that are coming, that are from init. So we want to call the brand. We want to call color. Now what this super does, it's when you, if we weren't using super now, we would have to declare this self dot brand, self dot color, starting everything individually. And I really don't see the point of that, because the main reason of inheriting, so you don't have to duplicate your code. Like the smaller your code, what is the Python saying again? Do more with less. Yes. So we want to kind of like keep our code on as little length of whatever as possible. So we'll just call super, which is going to now declare all this whole thing from the main parent function. That's underscore init underscore, and what's other extra for? Okay, next we want to just pass the init for the features, the main features that are being listed out, which is going to be brand and color. Now we want to now declare, so right now we're not going to really work on input and stuff. I'm just going to do a very basic function. So let's say we want to do self, that we can, what we can do now is define another function if you want to actually work on something more complex, but I'm just doing something very basic. Let's do self dot wheels, and I think trucks usually have like about 6 wheels or so, so let's just use 6. So self dot wheels will now be equal to 6, and Okay, and let's work with this depth of string. Oh, I didn't call it. Sorry. Let me call it. I didn't call it. Let's define C1. We're going to define the brand and the color. Um, let's call truck. It's truck, right? Let's call truck. Instead of calling car, we're going to call truck, and we're going to give it its brand. Let's just go with the same ones, and its color. Okay, I don't know what this is. I'm coming. So okay, so it returned the main thing we asked for, but it's giving us the error at print. So mm, because the error is not from this one. It's not even telling us where the main error is from. This one we're going to address this. I don't understand what's happening. We're going to address this in a different video. But as for now, you can see like the first when we called it at first, like here it's actually printing out what we requested. It's just this error that is showing and it refuses to tell us where exactly the error is for. So I'm going to look at that and I'm going to come back with a solution in the next video. But for now, thank you all for watching and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye guys.